I'm muted. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another Hair Socials. I almost made the mistake again of rabbiting on with a mute button on. We are on lab 32. 32
oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. That's great.
We have the wonderful Karoliina Saunders here.
Hi, everyone.
Whereabouts are you, Karoliina?
I'm in a place called Highworth. Highworth is outside of Swindon and edge of the Cotswolds. So West Country of UK.
Beautiful. And what are you showing us today then? I'll hand over to you to show your demo.
Okay, so yes, as Simon just introduced me, I'm Karoliina Saunders, and today we're going to go through a bit of editorial session work, and I just want you to be as interactive as possible and ask me as many questions as possible. Let's make it a really exciting hour, as it's Friday night. And one thing I would want to know, if you can tell me, have you actually got a mannequin with you or not? Because I put it on social media and I sent a few people messages to say that they can do this look with me. And it'd be really interesting to know how many of you actually have grabbed a drink, are taking a backseat and just chilling out and getting involved with the conversation, or who's going to be working with me with this. Because if everybody, I understand that people don't necessarily have mannequins at home, so it can be quite difficult to get, you know, to do this if you don't have anything, so, or the right equipment even. So it'd be just nice to know if you can pop it on the comments and, let Simon know that, if you have a drink, and what drink do you have? And secondly, have you got a mannequin, and what drink do you have? It's Friday night. You've got to get that. So, but anyway, if I start with first of all with this, with what I've done so far, to save time, I have actually pre-prepped this head, and I blow dried it with some mousse. I literally took section by section, and I did it from dry. Just applied the mousse into the dry hair, and I blow dried it like that. Just to get, and you can really feel the product in it, and that's how it should feel. Now then, I blow dried the hair to the direction that I want it to be sitting. So if you're going to be doing this, is going to go into a pony through here. So if you're going to have a ponytail, you're going to have to work with the direction that you're going to go with. There's no point to you to be blow drying it down and with hardly no product, because what will happen is when I try and brush it into the shape, it's not going to work. So with the ends, I didn't bother too much, because the style we're going to be doing is not going to, it doesn't need to be smooth. So you'll find out later. So first of all, I have already sectioned few areas from here. These I'm going to be razor and laser a bit shorter, but I'm going to be spraying them first, so I can really get them to go flat. I want it to go quite flat to the head, and just across the face. I'm going to leave the ends. I'm just going to get the actual flatness through the root section first of all.
Awesome, looking good. What was your inspiration to create for this look, for this starting point?
My inspiration, I love Days magazine, magazines in general, and I've obviously on the lockdown I've had a chance to really go through it, and I've been studying every magazine. I've been studying the way the hair is, the mood of the picture, who's been doing the hair, who's been doing the styling, and all of those areas. So I saw a texture in a fabric that I really liked, and I've done two hairstyles to mimic this texture, because I was reading, I thought wow, that's awesome. So yeah, it can be just as simple as that. It doesn't have to be anything. Inspiration doesn't have to come from anything more than just a piece of piece of fabric, you know, or just somebody's skirt, you know. So that that's where where this came from. And I said another thing I did want to do is that I wanted to show you guys like a simple style, like a ponytail, for example, because people often think, it's just a ponytail. But I can honestly tell you, it's one of the most difficult things you can do sometimes, because it's actually really difficult to get it smooth, get it in the center, and you can brush it out. You can, especially if you haven't done the prep before, properly. Sorry, I just lost a clip. If you haven't done your prep properly, you'll be in huge trouble. And that's why I said, I can't emphasize it enough. Prep like a boss. This is literally like it's really important. Product is the most important thing that you do when you're styling hair. You need to know your product, and you need to know how much to use. You can use too much and you're in trouble. You start looking absolutely horrendous. Or if you put too little, you can be brushing it for hours. You can be brushing your hair, the style for hours. So what I'm using at the moment is cover clips, just to pop them down, because I want them to go flat. I don't want them to be sticking up.
Oh, so you got a few comments coming now. You've got Sam Arnold says he's got a multicoloured head and a V-knot, of course.
Oh, Sam! Sam is my art team, Gloves art team member. Hello, Sam. Awesome. I'm glad that you got your dolly out. Is that the one that you had this in a picture? Can you let me know?
I'll ask him for you. Alan McKenzie has said, I've poured a red wine and I'm looking forward to your creation, Karoliina.
I'm glad, Alan. How are you? You good?
Katie Fallon has said, no, but she has a wine. And
that's all right. That's good. It's Friday night. We're all allowed to have a little chill out.
Yeah, and forgive me on this one if I get this wrong, but Pardip Kausa has said, I have a mannequin and rum.
Oh, rum. She's a pirate girl. Well, I like a rum, actually. I like a rum. Do you know what my tipple is tonight? My tipple is beer. Yeah, we're having beer, aren't we, Simon? Right, so I'm just going to leave it there. I'm not going to put the hairdryer on or anything like that. If I was in a show, I would be drying that off and making sure that that's all nice and dry. But I think by the time we finish with this, it's going to be pretty much set, and I don't want to be putting too much of the hairdryer on. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't want you to be watching half an hour of me blow drying this. For 15 minutes actually it took me, but 15 minutes of me just blow drying the hair. So that's why I prepped it for you beforehand. So I had the cover clips there ready because I really wanted to just make sure that hair sat there. So if you were doing anything like this, whether it's in a photo shoot or whether it would be in a show or even in a salon, they're my babies. They're absolute, they're like gold dust though as well. You become vicious with them if they go missing. So, right, the next thing you need is your grooming brush. So, if you're not with me, if you're doing the hair, just let Simon know, because I can always slow down a little bit, with it. So. You just literally, what you need to do when you do a ponytail, with this particular one, we're going to be working on very slightly looser one first, because we're going to be creating texture through the top section. So even so, I still want every grain of the hair go the right direction. So if you have, you need to see that the hair runs along down exactly the right way, so it doesn't, so not one hair hair goes onto one side and another, so you have to be really firm with that. And that's where the prep comes to, that you actually make sure that when you blow dry it, going to the direction where you're going to style it. and it makes it so much easier. As you can see, because I've prepped it, I can actually let it go and it will just sit there in that position. And it makes the life so much easier.
I'm going to try this name again, and I'm sorry if I get this wrong, but Eino Karoliina, which is greetings from Finland. Super cool to see you live, Karoliina.
Aino Kervinen. Yes. Hello, Aino. Moi. Yay. So nice to see a fellow Finn. Aino used to work for us. She worked in our salon for about a year. So yay. You have to say mitä kuuluu, Simon. You're not ready for it yet. Right, as you can see, I'm just literally combing this through, and you know what? This could take me hours if I actually really like. Sometimes I'm so like I go into like mode of like brush it and brush it and brush it and brush it and brush it, and it can be quite frustrating. But it has to be perfect, and that's the whole thing about styling. I think, is that you make sure that you're perfectly combing everything to the position that you need it to be in. If you're going to do a low pony, you're going to do it low. Don't lift it. Lower, low. Make sure the head is in the right position. Mine's upright. So.
I've got people speaking Finnish to me, and I'm going to try and learn it for you. What have we got here? We've got Kika Ekman saying Moihana. Moihana.
Moihana Kikka. There's lots of Finns here tonight. That's brilliant.
I know, yeah, let's get the audience up in Finland. That's one of the markets. I'm going to come back with you in a minute of how many Finnish people we have in our group.
Really?
Yeah, while I look for that, I'm going to ask you, because you said about when you could brush this hair for hours, but you do a lot of session work. So tell us about your session work and your lifestyle within that, because obviously you don't have hours to do it there.
Okay, so yes, you can imagine, like you're not going to be brushing hair for hours in a session world at all. Everything has to be bish bash, bosh and done perfectly in like nanoseconds. So when I'm not running a salon, I go to Milan, New York, Paris, and of course London, and I started doing session or this show work roughly about 4 years ago, when I had the opportunity to join the Label M session team, and then from there I started to assist Guido and Eugene, Gary Gill, and Anthony Turner. Those are the four teams that I mainly assist. And I have to say, I absolutely fell in love with the session world, as well as there were times when I was really in a panic. You get times when you feel so exhausted because it's such a high pressure and so many people and so many models and so much to do, so much to do in that time that that you're given, and it's so different to salon work that sometimes you do feel almost like, what the hell am I doing? Why have I started this? But then the actual the work that you do, I absolutely love. I love the styling side of it. I love the the people you meet. I love the sort of the whole buzz of it, and styling hair in general, and also meeting learning all the different techniques and new techniques, which are very, very different to what you learn, like what you do in a salon. You wouldn't necessarily do things like that. Now, to actually carry on, before I get too carried away just chatting, I've got an elastic, which is literally just from sort of sewing shop. It comes in a roll like this. It looks a bit battered, but it has been in my bag for from place to place to place. So I've got quite a large and long piece because I want to have enough of it. So I'm just going to literally wrap it around my ponytail. So I'm going to hold it with my hand, and I'm just literally going to take the one side from underneath, and I'm just going to go around because I want to hold it fairly tight. As I said, we're going to be keeping this quite loose for now, so we can carry on.
While you're tying that, I've got some figures for you.
Okay.
We have 4 members that are based in Finland in the group.
Okay, 4.
Yeah, I think we can get past 10 tonight. I think we should. That was as of yesterday, so some might have joined in today specifically to watch you, but yesterday's statistics are 4 Finnish fans.
Oh, okay. Well, we need to get the number up.
Yes, we do. Good question for you here. Alan McKechnie has said, how did you get onto the teams and the likes of Guido and Anthony?
Right. How did it happen? I built my portfolio because that was really the one of the things that I needed to do. I needed to convince them that I can do hair, I can style hair, and without the actual something to show for, I wouldn't have been able to get there. So I literally just built my portfolio of show work that I was doing, and I put everything in it, everything that I felt there was any value, any sort of worth that I actually really loved. And then I just contacted people, and Instagram is an amazing place to build communities and connections and things like that. And obviously, then normally what they do, they put you through to their agent. So then you go from there. Hope that answers it. So I've now just put it on a really loose ponytail, and now I'm just going to start teasing that front, the top section out. So I'm going to pinch it, and I'm just going to take a little bit like that, just a tiny bit, and I'm going to put one of the clips on there.
I don't know about everybody else, but they are one of the clips in my pack that I never really have a use for, but I always use them. There's no specific use. I just seem to find something for them.
Yeah, I have thousands of them. So when I pinch, I'm going to just put this down. Can you see better? Yeah. So I'm taking one here, one there, and then I'm going to go in the middle. So it's not kind of like, so you don't get just lines of, so you get a bit more uneven texture. Because I don't want it to be just completely the same texture all the way through. And I really don't mind if it's going to be a little bit, so some loops are going to be bigger than others. It really doesn't matter. The texture that I'm aiming for is more uneven than even. It's a great way of creating texture and looks. Let me just turn it this way, otherwise I can't. And then you just go into the same, do the same through the side, through here. I'm just literally pinching it. I'm not doing anything major. I'll do a little bit more on that one. When you're styling, you need to constantly look at the shape though, so you're not losing a shape. So don't just randomly take pieces. It's you need to kind of constantly visually look at it. I think that's one of the things that I really love about styling is the fact that it is very visual. It's very sort of you go with the flow. When you do it for yourself, but when you do it in a show, in the shows, you have to do exactly what you've been told, because they have a vision. You have to understand that the person who's the key hair has been briefed by the obviously they've had a meeting with the designer, and obviously then you have to follow that, because the designer decides really what they, what goes and what they want, and and then our job there as a team is to just deliver it. So even like if you're doing like things like, even if you did like a ponytail and you always do it a certain way, but the key hair says, okay, you will have to do it this way. You can't go, oh well, I know a really good way of doing it. You just have to go, yeah, okay, we'll do exactly what you say.
A handsome man has popped up and said, "Hi, Michelle," and his name is Mark Saunders.
Okay, that's my husband. Oh dear. I think he's having a lads house thingy. I don't know what it's called, but meeting tonight.
Well, he's still got time to find your live, so fair play to him. Thank you very much for tuning in.
Yeah, he's fab. Called Mark.
Do you
so has anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I've got a question, sorry. Do you ever look at this and sort of, where's the point? Because, for example, for me as a cutter, and it's all about sort of straight lines and purposeful texture, when I'm doing a pin-up, I always feel mine doesn't look as good as somebody else's. Have you got any tips for like just how to get more confident with these things? Because I always pick the bones of it and I think it's not good enough.
Simon, I am the worst enemy for myself for being picky, and I totally go with that, and I am always picking holes in my own work. I'm never 100% happy with things. I'm never 100% happy. I always look at things and I go, oh, wish I'd done that way. It doesn't matter whether it's a haircut or whether it's a hairstyle or whatever, but when I'm doing it, it's like right now I'm having fun, I'm absolutely loving it, and I think that's what matters. And then you kind of like have to take yourself away from it and go, it was alright, it looked okay. But I think if you don't feel that feeling of wanting to make it better, you have lost it then, really, because if you don't, I think you always should try and make it even more perfect. I might be wrong, but that's just how I feel about it. I think, and I can see that a lot of the times, like the people I work with are the biggest perfectionists, and I can really relate to that. And I think gives me kind of comfort that I'm not crazy, completely crazy. That I do actually.
Everybody else listening might agree with us, because I'd like to know their opinion on it, but I'm definitely like you. And Michael Convey just seconded it and said that we are our own biggest critics.
Yeah, absolutely. I think somebody might look at your work and go, "Oh, how amazing," and you go, "Oh yeah, but I didn't like that bit." But it's not about that. I think it's what does it bring you? What feeling does it bring you when you're doing it? This might feel a bit like I'm putting loads of clips in it, but the truth of it is I am, because I really want this texture to be right. Okay, I'm just going to show you a little more close up. So whoever's in the hair, just go with the flow. Feel what you want to, what shape you want to bring, and what kind of texture you want it to be. So that's kind of just creating kind of almost like grooves, as you would imagine. This could be like like in that dress, you had like all these grooves of fabric and colors. My mannequin doesn't have much hair color on it, because I haven't actually managed to color it yet, so I want to save it for another thing. But at the moment we're kind of saving everything we can, we can kind of we don't want to use every single mannequin for everything. But anyway, right, so that's what we've done so far. So now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take some hairspray and load it with the hairspray. The right one, yeah, volume fixer. So I don't want to put anything, volume fixer is really good because even though I don't really want volume to it, but it just doesn't, it doesn't go too caked in. And don't worry about being generous with it because that is fine. Actually, I'm going to put another one here.
Mary Kelly has asked, are you self-taught or do you do courses?
I do. I'm doing courses as well. I do courses as in hair myself. No, do I go on courses?
As usual, I've misread it. Are you self-taught or did you do courses?
Oh, okay. Right. My background is from Finland, where my training was very much like we had to do hours and hours and hours of finger waves. We had to do hours and hours of pin curls. We had to do hours of styling. The styling part of the first year of my training was absolutely we went really in depth with that. At the time, I didn't realize how brilliant that was for my future, because now we don't actually have that many. We don't have all that in our curriculum. So we need to be, I think we should really get that back in, because we are hair dressers, so we should be able to dress the hair. So so that was first of all my starting point. And actually, the love of styling, really styling, didn't come, really bit later. My first was cutting, then color, and then I realized actually I really love styling. But I'm a hairdresser who likes to do all of it. I don't want to pinpoint myself into like one group, because I absolutely love doing color. I absolutely love doing cutting and styling. So, but one of the things is because I've been in the fashion world, is actually really exciting. That the whole thing of styling has really got up. Really started to love it more and more and more. So am I even answering a question? I hope I am. I'm just waffling on here. Yeah, about the courses. I have also, I have spent time in the courses as well, and obviously, like when I'm doing the fashion weeks, you're always learning. Now, it's not the place to go and learn. You need to have your basics and your literally like everything that your craft really. You need to know how to do certain things before you go even apply there. So I think to be able to do well there, you need to feel comfortable and confident, because like I said, going to Fashion Week and starting to learn how to do a ponytail is not the place to be learning how to do a ponytail. It's far too fast paced, and there's expectations are too high. So I would definitely look into, if you want to be part of that, something like that, I would definitely look into learning fundamentals first. And also there's things like braiding, ponytails, back combing, all those areas, how to style, how to pin, how to put a hair grip in, how to secure, hair up and things like that. So, right, I'm going to leave this here, the top section. Oh, there's a little bit more just for last, because I don't want it to. So now, we're only going to be tightening it up a bit more. The reason why I didn't tighten it up at the beginning is because when I was pulling it out, I didn't want it to be too tight for me to pull these pieces out. So if my ponytail would have been too tight, then I would have been really trying to yank it, and the end result would have been the same. So take your long enough piece of elastic, and then start wrapping it around. Now, when you're in a show, you will get someone to help you. with this, which is quite handy. Because normally we don't work you don't work on your own. You work with people. It's about. Sorry, I'm just going to take this again because I'm not happy with that. So you work.
Said that he has learnt so much already working with Karoliina, being on the art team. She's so amazing.
Oh.
Mary Kelly said, "Thank you for that. Well done. How is your confidence now compared to your first video?"
Actually, I don't feel. I think the first video. My problem was there was a bit of a reception problem. I was kind of my confidence wasn't in my equipment I was using, which was my Wi-Fi. So I felt a little bit worried about it. But I quite like talking to people, although this feels like really weird because I feel like I'm just talking to you, Simon, because I can't see anybody else. And I'm on my own, just like, it's really, I'm on my own in here. It's normally have like an audience. Sorry?
It's a bit of a unique way of doing it, the way we do it, but it seems to be working all right for us, so we keep doing it this way.
I think it's a brilliant way of doing it, definitely. So now I've wrapped it around about 4 times, maybe 5 actually. So now I'm just going to do a double knot then. But ideally what you want to do, you want to get that underneath. You don't want it to be at the top. Yeah, we can answer questions.
Shatz asked, how do you make the step into becoming a session stylist? Because she works in a salon and an educator, so I presume she's asking for that point.
How do I? Sorry, I didn't hear that. Well, I must admit that takes a lot of sacrifice because I'm a salon owner, and I also do educate, and it means that sometimes I'm when I'm on fashion weeks, I actually work full 30 days of trot. So I come from Milan, for example. I go and do a few days there. I come back to the salon. I do my salon work and do whatever I need to do, and then I head back to maybe Paris after, and then I come back to the salon for a few days, and then I make it. And it can be quite. It's literally it's wearing. It does take you. The first time when I did it, I was working. I did the full month. I went to New York, then London, then Milan, then Paris, and I had the salon as well. So I had to do group calls to this in a team and making sure that everybody's okay. And so the step made to get there is either you want to do it and you just go for it and you just make sure that like we all know when the fashion weeks are, when they are, and at the beginning you may not even get all the job you want to be part of, but you just have to sacrifice your time. I mean, how much do you want it? If you want it a lot, then then you just put your time and effort to it. So basically, before I carry on, I've taken a small piece underneath here and I'm backcombing it, making it into like a little dreadlock. And I'm just going to put a little bit of hairspray on there. Before I carry on, I'm going to take just to join to the last piece, I'm going to backcomb a bit more.
So just to see just to confirm what I've seen there, you picked a section out, backcombed it, wrapped it to probably 2/3, and then added another piece and added that into the end of the third. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So I'm basically leaving just a little bit through the end, and then add in an extra little bit. The smaller the section, the better. Not too small, obviously, but just sort of like a sort of 1/2 inch wide. And then I'm going to wrap it around, and I'm really going to lay it on. And so you can take a little bit again. I'm always taking it from underneath, so it kind of like just then joins together into the, and I keep it nice and tight. And I got this little piece here. I don't know if you can see it. So I'm going to wrap this around underneath, and then I'm going to add the last piece into that one, and then back comb it. How many pieces I've added so far? This is my 4th piece. So every time when you start running out of hair, you add a little bit more. So you basically just add. If the hair was really long, you probably could go round and round. So you kind of go round.
I don't know about anyone else, but if someone else can comment for me. But if I've never seen this technique before, so I'm excited to see what this does.
I'm glad you haven't. I wasn't. So sometimes it's hard to know what people have seen, and I'm sure that some people has maybe seen it, maybe, but it's just like want to bring out something that may be useful for editorial work or show work or something like that. That you want to maybe create when we have our salon internationals and things like that. It's quite nice to do something a bit different on the stage. And I'm always looking at these different things, like I'm obsessed by techniques and seeing what people do. I'm actually like, I can easily say, like, the sort of, for example, we will have like an afternoon of like, let's have a movie afternoon with the family. And Mark can actually probably will, say something right now. I will have a block my mannequin head, and they'll be, we'll be watching a film. They're like, well, you're not watching a film. It's like, I am. But I actually have the mannequin head, and I will sit there behind them, like, they're watching Star Wars or something, and I'm creating something new. But I'm watching a film-ish. But it's kind of like sometimes even that kind of thing can bring you something really nice kind of excitement to your actual work, because you got the film going at the background, and you can kind of like get inspiration from that.
A few people have basically all agreeing with me. They haven't seen this technique before, and they're excited to see the results.
I'm glad then that I've actually chose something that you haven't seen.
To basically echo what you're saying about sort of wanting to show us something new for session work, I think a lot of people will be wanting to go back to the salon and maybe create portfolios, even if it's for the shop windows. So for anyone who's into hair, hair like creatively, in not like, when I say creative, hairdressing is creative as it is, but there's difference between being on the shop floor and doing your client's hair and getting creative with that, but there's limitations with that, and that and I think for me it's really important that I have this outlet that I can actually just almost like play with hair and play with the ideas and play with the looks, that that just something that comes to you that you can actually just express your emotion with it and express how how you feel. If you see something really cool in a magazine, why not create that look? And sometimes it takes only about
10 minutes to do something, but it gives you such a great sort of, it relaxes me anyway. That's something I do to relax, is to actually do hair. And I was doing hair last night till 11 until Mark was like, "Oh, come on." I was like, "Oh my God, I didn't realise." But I can do that quite easily. I go in a zone, put the tunes on. That's one thing actually, because I can't put the music on. I feel a bit like almost like I need that kind of music. I love music and doing hair. That just those two go together so much. It gives me such a brilliant feeling. So I'm going to go all the way to the bottom with that. And because this hairspray is so sturdy, you can see it's just staying like that. If you have a really weak hairspray, you might have to blow dry it. Or what you can do, we can leave it like this, or I can show you a technique as well about how you can get it look like just like a dreadlock without any sort of texture. So you can either leave it like that, if you wanted to. But what I'll show you the technique how to make it nice and tight.
Talking of hairspray, somebody's asked what hairspray are you using, please?
At the moment, I'm using a volume fixer from Matrix. With products, you have to choose the right product for the right style. Not every time you can use the same product and go, "Oh yeah, I'll always use that," because it just doesn't work. And one of the things that I would say, when you actually go to when you go to fashion weeks, you find that you don't know the products that they're going to be using. So there's times when they say, "Can you bring me blah blah blah?" Because everybody's running around like crazy, and you go, "What is it? Which one? Which one? Which one? Which one?" Oh, so you're looking around because you have no idea. Until you've been in it for a while, then you start getting really familiar with the products. But the teams that I'm with, none of the ranges that they use, I'm actually familiar with. So now I've been with them for a longer time. But at the beginning, I thought, "Oh my God, I don't know what this does. How is it going to work? How am I going to do this hairstyle? How much do I have to put in?" And all these different things goes in your head whilst you're trying to do the best you can and impress the person you're working for.
While you're doing that, tell us about, because you talked about your session work, tell us about your TV work. What TV work have you done?
I was in the Extreme Hair Wars a few years back. It was like an avant-garde competition. So I had to create it was all about, what was the theme? It was sweets and candy or something like that. And I did this like a chocolate fountain that, I had real chocolate flowing down from the heads and all sorts. It was a really good fun. It was a really, really good fun. I really loved it.
What was the guy called that presented that? The hairdresser. I forget his name. It's just left me.
Robert Masciar was one of the judges.
Who was the one with the
hat?
And
Martin Holmes.
Martin Holmes, right, okay, thank you.
So you could actually leave this. Can you see this all right? Yeah, so you could leave it like really fluffy like that. Or I'm just going to tighten up a bit. So I'm literally going to put this is like a netting. It's like a hair net, like grannies would have when they have their sets. So I'm going to wrap it around nice and tight. I would normally have an assistant to do this.
This is always entertaining. So if you've watched any of my lives of the 31 before you will know that I struggle to read sentences without missing a word or adding a word in that's not there. So getting names wrong is quite common for me, but your audience, mate, is testing me. So we have Shadokt Lankarani saying she loves the hairspray, but there's a good sort of foreign and Finnish names coming out of here, so it's testing me. But I'm loving the audience. If you could share wherever you're watching it from, guys, and get the audience built, that would be amazing. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm just going to put a clip on there, and I'm just going to tighten that a little bit more. I've just sprayed a little bit more hairspray on here. Now I'm going to take my hairdryer and just dry it a little bit.
Is that the new hairdryer?
I can't hear a thing.
Is that the new hairdryer? The newer one?
I don't know.
The professional.
I don't actually know. This is one of those presents that I got from Fashion Week, which was quite nice. I haven't got a clue about Dyson hairdryers. I quite like it though. I think it's one thing you have to do with Dyson is that you have to wash the filter, or it gets stops working. Actually, I'm just going to leave that there now for now because I want it to really set. There we go. Right. These are still a bit wet, so I'm going to dry them.
Thank you, Nicola. Hello, Sharon Wright. Sam Arnold, this technique is everything. Thank you for that, pal. There's a lot of love and support coming your way, my dear.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Somebody asked earlier if you could just recap what you were doing from the start as you just joined, so maybe that's a good time to do that one.
Yeah, actually, it's a really good time to do it because I want to let this set a little bit. So, start off with, I started with blow drying mousse, volume mousse into the hair. You can actually use sea salt spray as well. It's fine with that. But you take it section by section. But I went just to dry hair, and then when I blow dried it, blow dried everything to the direction that I want it to sit. So if I'm, because I want it to sit low, I blow dried it low. So I don't blow dry it high. I want it exactly the same way where I want it to be. And I put enough product in there so that it stays. So it's actually very, very secure already before I even start the ponytail. Then I worked on, I used cover clips just to keep it, let it set. And I pulled some pieces through the front section just to sort of, just to get some hair, looser pieces coming down. And then I created a very fairly loose ponytail. I then went onto the top section and just started teasing some bits out, and then I used these little clips, silver clips and cover clips, just to hold them together. So it just creates a little bit of a ripple effect, so we can just get a bit more texture to it. And then sprayed the front section as well, so I got them to sit flat, nice and flat. Actually, before I started this, I put the clips on the front, so they start sitting and setting into the shape. I took the hair, the ponytail, and I kept on taking about 1/2 inch sections and back combing them, and then wrapping them around, taking another section, back combing it, wrapping it around, and then until I got to the end, and then I smoothed that with the netting and hairsprayed it all the way through. So every time when I take a section, as you can see, I haven't got one pin in there. There's no crips, pins, anything like that. It's just a back combing and a hairspray as a sealant for me, and that's all I need. And obviously, it's really important when you do anything like this, that when you have hairspray, that hairspray is dry. So if you actually start, if the hairspray is still wet and you take it all off, it's going to start picking open and coming open. So if the hair is still wet with the hairspray, you're going to have to dry it to make sure that it all sets in. It's almost like just sealing it in. But now I think this feels like it's actually kind of quite nicely come together. So I'm going to start taking these clips off.
Eleni Solaris has just said, amazing technique. She's watching actually from Cyprus. I spoke to her today regarding the lockdown, and she's all the way in Cyprus watching.
So where's she from?
Cyprus, Limassol.
Cyprus, wow. It's amazing. Worldwide audience then.
Yeah, it's probably a good time to let everybody know. I haven't announced this yet, but we did a thread the other day, if you saw it. We're basically asking what everybody's doing at the moment in their country regarding lockdown and the salons. And it got such an interest in the comments that I'm actually trying to interview people from around the world now and ask them where they're at in the salon. Some are open, some are closed, some have no idea when they'll be open again. Others in South Africa are 6 months. So I've done a little piece on it. And it'll be out over the weekend.
Oh, brilliant! So interesting to see how differently different countries are dealing with this, this whole thing. It all depends, I suppose, on how much of what kind of how many people are ill and all the rest of it. I'm just felt that that's a little bit wet, so I'm just going to put use my I have like a diffuser. It's like a sock. It's like a sock that goes over. And it just flows air really evenly, so it doesn't. It's not like a diffuser where it kind of flows everywhere. With the sock, you just create warmth and air, so it doesn't blow any of the hair anywhere. So it just kind of just sets it.
Yeah, thanks everybody. It will be out over the weekend. There's a few people yet to interview before I can put it all together. But yeah, we've interviewed. Where have we interviewed so far? We've interviewed France, Cyprus, Dubai, and tonight I've got Switzerland and America. So I'll get it all together hopefully by tomorrow. Tracy Dunbar has asked, where do you source your tools?
Cover clips are like gold dust because some places they when you go to these shows you lose a lot of kit. So session kit is really good for really lovely tools. Then also, like I do actually when I go to Paris, there is shop over there that I always go to replenish my stock. So what happens is when you're in a show, you will find that everything's so fast paced, and the only thing that matters is that we get the show ready. So people will grab anything, in a hurry, and easily you lose your stuff. So yeah, I'm forever buying new stuff for my kit. Now I don't want this to look like that. I don't like it, so I knew that I wouldn't like it. So that's why I got my little razor. I'm still going to keep those clips there because I want them to set properly. So I'm just going to take a little bit off through here with my razor. Quite often we find in the shows, if we want this kind of pieces, we will be adding extensions in there because we won't be cutting our model's hair.
Eleni Solaris has said, what doll do you recommend to use for practicing?
This one is Pivot Point one. There's loads of others as well, but I really like pivot point ones. I think the hair is, you know, you can colour it, you can cut it, and it's the way the hair sits as well. You've got to be careful because sometimes it sits outwards, and if you get really rubbish dolly, the hair's not sitting properly, so it's really hard to practice on. It's like if you're trying to do a haircut, for example, you probably find that, Simon, sometimes if you ever have a dolly, you know, for your cutting. What do you use? What do you normally use, Simon?
To be honest with you, I kind of use living models prior to lockdown. I would never really use a doll.
Yeah.
So I've only used what Matrix have kindly sent us, which has been Pivot Point, and I must admit they've been a lot better than the college one that I had in a kit box somewhere from one of my staff members that I stole at the beginning of lockdown, and it's been a much better Pivot Point doll.
Yeah. I must admit, I hardly ever use live models for this kind of stuff because it sometimes it takes a lot of work. So you have to practice with haircuts. You know, it's different, but you know, with these, you know, you kind of like you do have to practice with the dolly. Besides, then you know, like I say, like you can if you're doing session, if you're practicing styling, then you can do it any time. If you have dollies, I've got thousands of dollies, every different type of hair. Length, you know, things like that. And if you're at all interested in hair, I think you would. And if you're interested in doing session styling, that is, you know, I think everybody would have one in their cupboard. I've always had it anyway. Maybe it's just me. Right, I can take these off. Because I don't have a mirror, I don't really see what's going on with it.
Tracy Dunbar asked that question earlier, but I couldn't get it in. But she was asking, do you miss using a mirror?
Yeah, I do. I do miss using a mirror. I feel like I'm actually a bit blind because I can't see it. But then also we have to remember that you need to learn how to do hair without a mirror. Because if you go to editorial shoot, you're not going to have a mirror necessarily if you're in the middle of nowhere. Or on the beach or wherever you are, you're not going to have things like that. Those are the things you have to think as well. Like how do you style your hair? Like, you know, when I create a mood board for something, I need to make sure that I know where I'm going to be. So if somebody asks you to do a photo shoot outside, for example, you're going to have to take into account every single element that there may well be, especially in UK. So, you know, you might have in the same day, you might have sunshine, rain, snow, sleet, everything. So you have no power either. You know, you're not going to have any electricity. So you might want to have like maybe your first look might be the one that you need to use electricity if you can actually get into somewhere where you can, you know, use it. And then after that, everything else has to go with the you know, with just, you know, with the natural elements. But at the same time, you do have to have a backup plan for everything. So I always have look one, or maybe look one and another. So you have like two ideas for each person. So that way, you know, you're not going to get stuck. So there we are. I just wanted to go through a couple of techniques that are kind of nice to combine into something that maybe you can take home with you. So, you know, so what the elements we have here is the ponytail and how to prep it and how to get it into the ponytail and what to use. Quite often people think, you know, you can use different things, like you can use bungees, you can use just the elastic band, but you will find that you might not get as clean result with that. I also wanted to show you this technique because I really love this technique. I think it's great with the ponytail and getting that kind of like almost like that dreadlocky feel to it, and then getting the texture in there. The reason why I did this front piece was because I've had quite a few people ask me, how do you do like really flat pieces against the head? And it's just very simple way of just pressing it down and really using either hairspray or gel, and then it has to be dried into the head, against the head. So yeah, this is me. Any questions at all?
Nicola Soul says it looks amazing. Sharon Wright, great idea. But yeah, a lot of love coming through for you as usual, mate.
I'm so glad that everybody turned up. And how many people has actually done a mannequin? Have you got numbers, Simon?
Yeah, no, not many people have got. About 5 or 6 at the beginning said they had one, but no one's confessed since. However, I would like to see, maybe when you put your picture up, if you send me a finished picture, people could comment below with the replicas that they've created.
Yeah, could you if you have done it, if you've done your own look, can you just send it to Simon, and send one for me as well? Like if you want to, so I know that my art team were doing things, so it'd be really great to see your looks, guys. Because it's just fun, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's just hair, and we're playing with hair, with the nice Friday night beverage.
Emma Roccabella says, I really love it. But yeah, Teresa Ferren has said very nice. But yeah, if everyone could just comment the pictures below saying that they did it, and we'll put the finished results on as soon as I get them off you.
Brilliant, excellent. Well, I'm going to let everyone go now. If there's any questions at all, just ping me a message or put it on a comment box underneath when Simon puts on a hair social. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this session, and I'll let you go to your Friday night activities, whatever they are.
Thank you.
But guys,
Thank you
stay
everybody
safe.
for watching.
Thank you very much.